Welcome back to DDA by Try Weekly Episode 2, whatever. This is the newscast episode for weeks 3 through 5 of the DDA Season 2. I apologize for being late on the upload. As the world's competitor, I have been doing my utmost to practice in a game that I am very passionate about and really would like to do well in. And it is of my greatest importance to dedicate my time and effort to learning this game. Anyway, here's our first story. Our feature headline story today: rapper and producer Rishi Gupta has been missing for 2 weeks following the release of his diss track on his old partner Steven Doorstop. Rishi was last seen in Berlin engaging in a fistfight with a Hachiwara's mascot. There are rumors that Steven Doorstop put a hit on Rishi following the release of the diss track, but we are a proper news network and we will not believe what rumors are saying. Wait. I'm being told that we're an entertainment network in America and not a news network? Well, fuck it, I guess we can just say whatever we want then. Popular DJ Komo was filmed slapping the ice cream cone out of a child's hand in the wake of their Grammy win. The Philadelphia native, who won Best New Record with hit single IDBP at the Grammys last week, did a press conference to address these concerns, saying, "The kid just kept trying to kiss me while I'm doing a set and it was super offensive. Yeah, I smacked that ice cream cone out of the kid's hand and I wish I smacked the kid too." The child's father, only identified as Jackson, declined to press charges. F1 racer Megastarmy has been under heavy criticism after turning on their propulsion jets at the Stuttgart circuit, following a crash and disaster for their sponsor Hachiwara's. In the 16th turn of the final lap of the race, Megastarmy was in second place behind their teammate Whimsicott when it used its jet engines to try to place first over their teammate, causing both to crash and spin out. Mega Gardevoir, the driver in third place at the time, ended up winning the race. The team GM of Hachiwara's was interviewed regarding this incident. A massive upset at the Dover Beauty Pageant as the young upstart Sinistras stole the show, upsetting the mascot-heavy favorite Charizard. The Sinistras' calm and serene demeanor stole the hearts of the judges, even when facing heat from the MC, Delphox, and rival in Charizard. Some believed the upset to be so significant that it could have only been rigged. But things being rigged would never happen in the DDA, right? An extreme heat wave in Charleston has led to a string of structural fires, says Fire Chief Gengar of the Charleston Fire Department. "I tried to contain the blaze with Shadow Tag, but it was no use," says Gengar, who fought the fires head-on with an elite squad of mouse firefighters. Arson investigator Arcanine spoke to the press about what might have caused it, saying that despite the sweltering weather, he suspected a prankster to have played a role as well and to be on the lookout for any foul play. The Library of Kaskarova has burned down, leaving behind only rubble and wiping out the last remains of some historical records. Authorities say that the fire was started due to negligence caused by a parent and her child knocking over a chandelier. The head librarian, Dorian, was seen running from the library trying to preserve what he can, but alas, only a couple records were saved. No charges were filed in the destruction. And to bring us to the next story, Steven Doorstop. Steven
Doorstop here reporting after the catastrophic landslides in the Houston area caused by the Columbus Koalas. The Pelipper Plumbing Company has advised visitors to use their bathrooms at the hotel, something I would know absolutely nothing about. Although further rain was anticipated during the weekend, the surveying efforts were additionally discouraged by a drought caused by a local three-headed monster. Local resident Mega Raichu X spoke to us about facing it down. And back to you, Austin.
Disaster at the Dover Petting Zoo as the Bellibolt shocked a crowd of schoolchildren from Louisville, leaving 8 dead and 4 injured. The events have left the Neubath School District shocked, and a vigil was held in the students' honor on Friday. The organizer of the petting zoo, Lichess has evaded question as to why he let a fucking an electric eel, a newt, a frog, whatever the fuck this is, in a goddamn petting zoo. And we've got some breaking news here. Unbeaten's fall in week 4. 4 of the members of the Unbeaten's band had fallen, being injured in the last week by various freak accidents. Drummer Lev, lead singer Ben Honest, and guitarist Lichess were all sent to the hospital with third-degree burns by various ridiculous circumstances. The drummer Lev was electrocuted by an electric lawnmower after it caught on fire. Lead singer Ben Honest was also burned, having gone to the library of Kaskarafa to write songs, and Lichess spilled hot green tea on himself while trying to meditate. The 4th member, Toasted Art, was scraped by a rock and is in the hospital with mercury poisoning. Only the 5th member remains unharmed thus far. I'm getting word here that the 5th member, Andrew, has been rushed to the ER very suddenly after being punched by a dragon? Am I hearing that right? We will report more as soon as we know more. And we'll be right back with an ad break.
Do you need help going to sleep? Are you suffering from chronic insomnia? Get that blue light shit out of here. Introducing Vivian Powder, the new medication designed to put you to bed. This has been approved by the Moss Deep Institute by Dr. Scoville. The same effectiveness as solo leveling with half the costs. Is it FDA approved? For just a low price of $19.99 for a 60-day trial, you can go to sleep easier. Get yours today.
Study of an ancient bird in frozen ice has given us an idea of the ancient civilization that it came from. The bird, Megastoraptor, was found frozen in ice, but sadly passed away shortly after defrosting. However, its characteristics gave us an idea of what the people of its time were like. Ladies, if your man can fly through the sky, recover quickly, fight for a long time, and maybe was frozen for a significant amount of time, your man isn't Staraptor, it's Aang the Airbender. Premiering October 9th on Paramount+. A local Golden Go has been arrested for dropping large chunks of rock and metals over an overpass bridge. The alleged culprit was found eating an okaberry at the scene of the crime, where a Wordier and Charizard were found nearly bludgeoned to death. This Golden Go has been previously arrested for terrorism and was previously sentenced to a -2 special attack drop and a 5% accuracy rate nerf, and will face charges of up to a life orb earth power in prison if convicted. A Chinese barrier reef was found beyond the point of no return, having been completely taken over by the invasive starfish in the region. The starfish, being of the Starmie and Toxapex species, destroyed the reef so fast we might as well have given head marine biologist Alex a cursula, as it just about took 3 turns for the body of his team to perish. And now for our creator spotlight, a local tin blacksmith has been making waves in the local crafts community with its art piece rendition of Broken Skulls. Tinkaton has gotten significant notice for its skill in hammering and applying blacksmithing to art. While no one knows where the Tinkaton has gotten all the skulls for their scarily accurate art piece, it was sold to Sarah for the cost of a used car. Tinkaton will be further selling more tickets to the Kaskarafa exhibition next week. And with that, everyone gets a win too!
Hello everybody. This is apparently the second take because this background music actually got on my nerves so friggin' much. But hello, my name is Austin. You can see me there in that Azucam corner. This is not the Austin you're thinking of, by the way. This is the better Austin. And I'm joined here by Spitzy. Spitzy, how are you?
I am doing all right. I don't have an Azu cam that I would be using, but you do get to listen to the sound of my silky smooth voice, so we will take that as an alternative.
This is true. We're here guest casting for the Door Something Draft League. That's what I think it's called. We've done a little bit of a caster swap between our indie draft league, the HDA, and this Door Something Draft League. So we're excited to look at this match that neither of us know anything about. So looking quickly at these teams, we've got the Dublin Delibirds, coached by Toasted Art, and the Philadelphia Flyers Flippers, coached by Paro. Looking at these two teams, what do you think is going on between them?
So to me, the thing that stands out the most is the spread damage versus the single target. So I'm taking a look. I see Mega Frostlass with that Blizzard. I see Mega Drampa with potential Hyper Voice, Kamala with Clanging Scales, Rotom Frost with its own Blizzard. There's a lot of spread damage over on Paro's side. And you look over at Twisted Art's side, you got like Annihilate, Mega Raichu Y with its Zap Cannon and Focus Blast options. You've got other Pokemon there as well, like Mega Greninja. A lot of single target damage supported by that Villain option and Hisuian Arcanine. So that's what I'm looking at, Austin. What about you? What's caught your eye?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good read on it. In particular, I think we've got a double snow matchup. That's going to be quite fun. And so I think it's very possible that this Mega Greninja could also be throwing out blizzards of its own. And then you also have that kind of Bolt Beam coverage between the Vanillux and the Mega Raichu Y. And so I think that type coverage you're going to have to get around somewhat if you're Paro, knowing how strong that Ice plus Electric offensive combination can be. Looking down at the lower point value Pokemon for each team, I see the Toucannon there. I'm a big fan of Toucannon. Don't think it's coming out this time. Salazzle I can reasonably see. That's a fake out guy, though the Mega Raichu Y is a faster fake out guy.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm taking a look here. I mean, I mentioned Mega Drampa in preview. It's only 6 points. I think that Pokemon could kind of go crazy if you can get around some of the Blizzard stuff. Over on the Toasted Arts side, can't imagine that Decidueye is going to come to this one, but I would be curious about that potential option if Toasted Art decided to do that. Beartic, on the other hand, though, you could do some really cool stuff with Slush Rush, especially if it's expected that snow is going to be coming around. I think that if you have good coverage moves that can hit stuff like Mega Frostlass, like Incineroar, I think there could be some really cool stuff that you could do with that. So that's what I got my eye on.
All right, cool. With that read, I think nothing better to do than to just get into the games. Neither of us really know what's going on, what the context for the league is or anything like that, so we're just going to jump in and have a good time with it.
Exactly. That's what we're here to do. We're here to talk mods and stuff.
All right. Looking at team preview, we have from the side of the Toasted Art, the Mega Raichu is here. We do see the Beartic and the Vanillux, and then the Frostlass on the side of Paro as the Mega Evolution of choice. No Drampa, so it looks like we will have the double snow matchup. I think that Hisuian Arcanine is also going to be kind of nice to have here. I think the ability on it, if we have Intimidate, whether that's going to interact with the competitive on the Milotic, that's also something that we'll have to look out for.
Yeah, they kind of both did Intimidate counters on the other side too, right? Because Toasted Art's got that Annihilate with Defiant, so you can use that as a counter to Paro's Intimidate from that Incineroar. So there's a couple of different ways to get around that. Sadly, no Decidueye from Toasted Art. Was really looking forward to seeing what that could do. But there is that Salazzle over on Paro's side, and I think that it could potentially be matched up really, really well into both of the ice types that Toasted Art's got going. So I would be curious to see what type of toolkit Salazzle's got going. You mentioned the Fake Out, of course, so I think that'll kind of go dummy. But yeah, that's personally what I'm looking at.
I'm also thinking Toasted Art's team, I think on the whole, is like cuter than Paro's team. There is, like, as Paro's got the Milotic, but then there's like the Incense kind of ugly, and the Salazzle is like kind of ugly, I think.
See, but they're like, Paro's side's kind of got a little bit of like the, God, what is it? I don't know what it's called, but we see the leads going on here. Frostlass and Salazzle on one end, Annihilate and the Vanillux over on the other end. Immediately snow goes up, so I think we're going to see some blizzards and potentially some counters to those blizzards because we got that Salazzle there often.
Right. I think that Salazzle probably wants to click Fake Out into the Vanillux. We might be able to see an item choice from the Vanillux if we get some Mega Evolution happening on the Frostlass. If the Vanillux were to attack before the Frostlass, that would confirm a Choice Scarf. That Choice Scarf could reasonably be on the Annihilate as well. Annihilate, maybe not super happy to be in this position because unless you're running something like Shadow Claw, you don't have strong Ghost type damage yet because your Rage Fists aren't boosted up. But we do see the Arcanine Hisuian form come in. No Intimidate, preemptively getting around competitive on the Milotic, as we do see Mega Evolution from the Frostlass to start off turn 1.
Vanillux wanting no part of that Salazzle fire type damage and immediately getting that swap there. We're going to see the Thunder Wave coming out from the Salazzle. Really cool tech there coming out from Paro. You have to imagine that Frostlass potentially coming in next.
Whoa!
X combo.
That doesn't
and
even
the
kill?
Annihilate still survives, even with that combo, the Citrus Berry, giving it a little bit of healing there. But the full paralysis preventing the Annihilate from actually doing anything on this turn. Lots of highs and lows on that one there, Austin.
Dude, I think our draft league might be pretty friggin' lame. Like that, who Salazzle gets T-Wave?
Thunder, I didn't even know it got
Where
Thunder
does
Wave.
it
I
come
knew that
from?
you could do Venom Drench stuff, and that's fun, but man, no, it's just going crazy. We see
Doing
it
it
hit
again?
that Thunder Wave once again onto the Arcanine, so double paralysis on Toasted Art, and now this Frostlats gets to do whatever it wants. Hex into that Arcanine, but the Arcanine is going to be able to take it, but only just barely. We're going to see the Rock Slide coming out, threatening super effective damage on both Mons, nearly just knocking out the Salazzle outright. Critical hit on the Frostlast there, potentially mattering. And Annihilate, once again, not getting the chance to move.
Oh my god, Annihilate really stuck in the corner there. I mean, just looking at this board state, you're pretty happy to be Paro here. I think you're one Blizzard away from getting the double KO onto this board. And Salazzle actually chooses. There's literally nothing it can do except for T-Wave. Is it Choice Scarfed? We might not. It did outspeed the Frostlast, so depending on the speed investment on both of those Pokemon, there might be something kooky going on here. But Raichu does come out. It's a little late if you hear Lightning Rod. You might have wanted to do that 2 turns ago.
Yeah, unfortunately, not going to be able to help him out a ton here. The Protect, I mean, it helps the Annihilate, but now your Raichu has to come in and take a ton of damage from this Blizzard. That's a 2-hit KO immediately right off the bat there. And the freeze as well. My God, Toasted Art cannot catch a break on the status conditions.
I'm starting to think other Austin set us up for this match in particular. Like he's very like deviously choosing which pre-recorded match to send us to do a caster swap
You
on.
know what? I think you might be right. I think you're kind of onto something here. You just can probably set it up so that we have to watch a bunch of these crazy interactions happen. We got to see the Frozen Raichu go for its Mega Evolution, and it's probably not going to be able to do anything with that. I've never seen a Frozen Pokemon. Oh, never
There
mind.
we
It
go.
falls out, and we immediately see the Zapcan, and I think that's going to knock out the Frostlast. Yeah, it is. So
Okay.
at least you get 1 KO if you're Toasted Art.
Yeah, it's kind of funny to see. There's 8 Pokemon in this game, and well, I guess now 4 of them are afflicted by various status conditions. If you count Faint as being a status condition, and we're only on like the 3rd turn in the game, so it's kind of a high octane match so far. I guess if you count T-Wave as being high octane, and actually Rage Fist, after being boosted up over the course of a Blizzard and a Hex, now at 150 base power, being able to hit that Tsarina for a good chunk of damage. So I think a little bit tricky to get a read on this situation. It'll depend heavily on who comes out. I expect the Salazzle to come back out from Paro's. There it is. Threatening Fake Out pressure once again into the Vanillux. Though, if the Salazzle doesn't have Fake Out, if it does happen to be Choice Scarf, then I think if this Vanillux is probably pretty happy to start sending off Blizzards in this position, so long as the Salazzle doesn't threaten it with a KO.
Yeah, it's a little tough to tell. I would think that the Vanillux would be Choice Scarf. We see the switch yet again from Toasted Art, so that almost makes you think that like it could be Choice Scarf potentially wanting to get around the Salazzle. Salazzle going for the Flamethrower here. Arcanine actually survives that. It is quadruple resisted there. Play Rough going into the Annihilate, and that is going to be enough to take it out. So good tech move on that Tsarina. Annihilate goes down, bringing Toasted Art down to their final 2 Pokemon.
All right. With this in mind, if that Salazzle does happen to be Choice Scarfed, a very devious set, then I think if you're Toasted Art, you do just have to hope that your Vanillux can take that Flamethrower, since the Tsarina is blocking priority moves. Your Arcanine, even if it has extreme speed, can't use it into the Salazzle. So at this point, I think you just hope that you live Flamethrower and start throwing out Blizzards and start praying.
Yeah, I think I would have to agree with you on that one. We'll see the Flamethrower coming out from the Salazzle here. Vanillux does take it potentially a Focus Sash reveal, or is it just built different? No, just a Focus Sash on that Vanillux. Good reveal there. Unfortunately, it does end up mattering. The Blizzard's going to knock both Pokemon out, bringing Paro down to their last Pokemon that has yet to be revealed. This Arcanine not going to do anything this turn, but if it had Extreme Speed, at least now it can do that now that the Tsarina is down.
Right. I think that if you happen to have like Milotic as the last Pokemon, then you're sitting pretty happy here. Maybe a little bit difficult to do that into a Mega Raichu matchup. But there's Como. Probably doesn't like to see a Vanillux threatening Blizzards right in front of its face.
Oh, gosh. Do you know what Vanillix's speed stat is? Because I have no idea.
Is
I
it
think
like
the speed stat
is it like 81 or something like that? Actually, the Como, if it's invested,
It's really, really close.
I
We see
guess
the
it doesn't matter.
vacuum wave reveal, so does not even matter a little bit. Vanillix ends up going down to that. Does Arcanine have a secret coverage move? Nope, it's just Rock Slide into the combo. That's going to be 11%. And barring anything unforeseen, I think Barrow's going to take this game 1.
Yeah, it looks. I want to say like, oh, dominant win, but I mean, we're down to like, it's a 1-0 victory. But after those first few turns, getting those paralyses onto the Annihilate and the Arcanine with those hexes, I think it looked like Paro was going to run away with it, but Tosadart really put themselves into position to take the game back. If not for the vacuum wave from the Como, we would have been able to check a speed interaction between the Vanillux and the Como, and then maybe the match would have turned out a little differently like that. But I think incredible prep on the side of Paro to really have a move up their sleeve for every possible situation this game.
I would love to know how that Annihilate is trained. The fact that it somehow took a hex, like a double power hex from Mega Frostlass, was not something that I thought Annihilate could reasonably survive.
No.
Yet it somehow did, and that's kind of nuts to me. So that tells me that maybe it's not quite as well trained physically as it is specially, so maybe that's something that Paro can look to take advantage of. A lot of special attackers on their side, but they could potentially take some other approach as well if they choose to do that.
Yeah, we did see Play Rough from this arena as a super effective option into the Annihilate. Obviously don't want to be drop kicking it, that gives you the Defiant boost, and the only other physical attacker is Incineroar, which definitely I think Annihilate was aside from Terra, cooked in a lab to be the Incin deterrent Pokemon. And so, but now that Terra's not available, I think that the fact that Annihilate is here really deters Instant from coming to this matchup. And so, if that Annihilate is very specially bulky, or it could be the case that the Frostlass is actually bulky as well. We saw it take about, I don't know, like 2/3 from a crit Rock Slide from the Arcanine earlier, but that is through the Snow defense boost. I'm not exactly sure about the Arcanine into Frostlass calcs, but it could be that the Frostlass has some amount of bulk invested on it too, a little bit less special attack, leaving the Annihilate able to take that boosted hex.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case, right? I mean, you take a look at Toasted Art's team. You have a Beartic with Slush Rush, and you have a Raichu Y that's really, really fast. Outside of that, there's not really much that gets around that Frostlass speed tier. So I wouldn't be surprised if there actually was some bulk on that Frostlass, because there's not really much that you're doing with those speed points anyways. We get ourselves into this game here. Paro is going to lead with Salazzle and Frostlass. Once again, do we see a change up from Toasted Art maybe? It looks like it's going to be the Raichu Vanillix lead instead. He says, I want absolutely no part of that Thunder Wave. Get that away from me. We'll see if they are able to succeed with that strategy.
Yeah, I think this is on paper a better lead for Toasted Art. I do also want to bring it back. Toasted Art is an Abomasnow professor. I think that says something about their character to win 100 games with Abomasnow on ladder. Anyways, we see here, I think like maybe you can fake out into the Salazzle if you're the Raichu. You can Mega Evolve, get faster, get that fake out going into there. But then what does the Vanillux do into this board? Perhaps you have to switch that Vanillux back into the Arcanine or something like that. And the Frostlass then at that point is free to start sending out Blizzards and doing lots of damage into that Raichu. We saw it was in probably 2-hit KO roll range onto the Raichu from the last game. So we'll have to see, what happens this turn.
Yeah, interestingly here, we see the immediate Mega Evolution. I thought that there was a world where you delay that Mega on the Raichu, because then you can take advantage of Lightning Rod to redirect away the Thunder Waves from that Salazzle. But instead, we see the immediate Mega Evolution. Paro also going to go for that Mega Evolution as well. Flamethrower into the Vanillix will knock Vanillix down to its Focus Sash. But interestingly enough here, if the Vanillix wants to do something, there is a potential Zap Cannon coming this Frostlass's way. We immediately see that Zap Cannon. It's going right into the Frostlass. It's going to paralyze it. And with Focus Sash, you would have to imagine that Vanillix would be able to outspeed here. Aurora Veil being set up, so getting a little bit more bulk over on Toasted Art's side to potentially survive some of these attacks. Frostlass now on the receiving end of that paralysis. It is not moving this turn.
Right. I think we do get confirmation that the Salazzle is Choice Scarf now, seeing as it outspeed the Raichu, unless this Raichu also happens to be very slow and very bulky. Probably not the case based on the Blizzard damage we saw in Game 1. So I think this Vanillux is probably encouraged to switch out the Arcanine if they've got it. Toasted Art does have the Arcanine. It does come in for this slot. Flamethrower, probably into the Raichu. Probably won't do all that much damage now that the Roar Veil has been set up. We do see Protect from the Frostlass and that Flamethrower go into the Raichu as said. That's actually still reasonable damage for going through Roar Veil. I always forget how frail this guy is.
Yeah, no, we see Zap Cannon is just immediately going to smoke that Salazzle and send it right back to its Pokeball. So no more Thunder Waves for Paro as a potential option here. A really good call there from Toasted Art to call that Protect on the Frostlass. We see the Milotic adjustment now coming out from Paro. Really does not like seeing a Raichu right up against it. Of course, there is counterplay. You could have something like that Wakan Berry to get yourself around the Zap Cannon. You have to imagine if the Milotic is coming out now that it probably has something like that, maybe a Focus Sash or something else along those lines. But really, really interesting board state here as we see the Arcanine switch.
Right, I don't really... I mean, well, I guess it depends on how much you expect the Zap Cannon to do into the Milo, but then we see Como revealed as the 4th and final Pokemon for Paro. So just switching out the Sarina for the Milotic this game. As we see the Bulletproof reveal and the Miracle... So maybe this Milotic is actually... Maybe it's Wackenberry invested enough for Zap Cannon.
Wackenberry Mirror Coat would be a super fascinating tech. Also, did you know that Zap Cannon was a bullet move? Because I did not know that, and apparently it is.
No,
so that's going to be a really interesting counterplay for the Raichu. Yeah, I don't really know what to make of this, to be honest. Now all of a sudden you're terrified that this Milotic with its Mirror Coat is just going to absolutely annihilate your Raichu. So can your Annihilate, on the other hand, potentially do something about that?
Bars. Yeah. We do see Draining Kiss actually as the fairy type coverage move from Raichu. It does get Alluring Voice, but we see Draining Kiss instead, giving it a little bit of health, which is boosted by the Aurora Veil as well, and the Roselli Berry revealed from the Como. Not really taking all that much, but it is, after 36% in range of another Draining Kiss next turn, as we see the Iron Defense set up, probably looking to do some body pressure shenanigans, but it also has Vacuum Wave. So I really wonder, what coverage moves are in here. We see actually the Milotic outspeed the Annihilate this turn. Going for the Scald does not get the burn, and the Drain Punch retaliate into the Milotic. If that Milotic is invested for Zap Cannon with the Wackenberry, maybe it's out of... maybe the Wackenberry isn't in range to help it anymore.
See, this is kind of an awkward board state now for Paro, right? Because you're able to tank that Draining Kiss, but the problem is that you needed the Rosalie Berry for it to not to not do a ton of damage. That combo looks like it's in range of another Training Kiss. So we'll see that switch immediately right here. Paro recognizing that combo is just going to go down if it takes another Draining Kiss. That's exactly what we see from this Raichu, which basically healed up to full, which is kind of nuts with that Draining Kiss. Annihilate gonna go for the bulk up now.
Speed tie.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Mirror Coat.
Yep. So Mirror Coat, negative priority there, so that's why we saw that speed interaction play out as it did. Aurora Veil is going to fade for Toasted Art. Paro kind of in a little bit of a back foot spot here, just because the Frostlass is in range of potentially getting knocked out by really any other attack. Milotic the same way as well. We see that substitute reveal from the Raichu now, so it's going to keep itself even more safe than it already was. Milotic going to go for the Scald into the Annihilate, so you would have to think that the Annihilate can actually take it out the Frostlass, but we actually see the Drain Punch instead, going to heal itself back up to full yet again, and the Frostlass going for a Will-O-Wisp and not really getting anything out of it.
That's a weird choice to Will-O-Wisp into the special attacking Raichu. I don't know if you're trying to get just like little baby amounts of chip, but surely a Hex or something to break the substitute, especially now that the Aurora Veil has dropped, would have been nice. But yeah, I think Toasted Art really in the driver's seat now, threatening the Draining Kiss into the Frostlass. Even if it is switched into Como, then that would have taken the KO as well. And I think this Milotic is in range of another Drain Punch here, so I think really hoping for a Scald burn on this turn. We do see the Scald go into the Annihilate. It does that same, about 20%. No burn after 3. Oh, the Annihilate kind of greeds another bulk up. I don't know that was really necessary.
I'm not entirely sure that it was either, to be completely honest. It probably could pick up from here, but if there was any doubt before, there's definitely no doubt now. Toasted Art, once again, looking to very much be in the driver's seat right now. A Draining Kiss plus another potential Rage Fist from that Annihilate could be enough to just clear the board right here and take us into a Game 3. You've heard of Calyrex Shadow Rider with that Draining Kiss. Have you heard of Raichu Shadow Rider with that Draining Kiss? It is healing up so much health right now.
Yeah, I really didn't expect it to be doing that much damage with such a low base power move. No Terra available or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, that Draining Kiss tech really coming into play. Otherwise, I don't think there would have been really good damage into the Como, because the Vanillux is low and we saw that the Como has Vacuum Wave. The Arcanine probably doesn't have good damage into an Iron Defense boosted Como as well. So Raichu really cleaning up the act and then clearing that Como, taking us to a game 3.
Goodness, yeah. I cannot say that I have seen Draining Kiss Raichu. I think one concern that I know some people had in HDA with drafting Mega Raichu Y is that it can kind of feel a little inflexible at times. I mean, it's like you want to run Zap Cannon, you run one Focus Blast. Maybe you do something with that third coverage move, but otherwise, it could feel a little inflexible. Toasted Art being like, nah, screw that. We're just going to go Draining Kiss mode and heal up all of our health. And that's exactly what they ended up doing in that second game there. If you're Paro, how do you adjust here, Austin? I feel like it's going to be really, really difficult if you don't get rid of the Raichu right away.
Yeah, I think probably that is what you've got to do, knowing that the Raichu actually threatens the Como offensively, where you probably didn't expect it to do so before, especially since you've teched Bulletproof onto it. That Raichu probably becomes a much higher priority target in the early game than you'd seen in the previous games. I think Paro is probably content to say, I've got Como, that'll beat the Raichu in the back, but now knowing that it is Draining Kiss, you've got to rely on a little bit more immediate offensive pressure to get that Raichu off the board. So I think if Paro decides to lead the same Salazzle plus Frostlass lead, knowing that the Salazzle is Choice Scarf, you could probably send off an attack into that Raichu before the Aurora Veil goes up from the Vanillux, and before the Raichu slows you down or bops you completely with Zap Cannon. But I think that Raichu probably just has to be aggressively targeted down.
I would have to agree with that one. We're getting ourselves into game 3 here. Salazzle and Kamalo is the adjustment from Paro, and on Toasted Art side, you're seeing the Raichu and the Annihilate this time instead of the Vanillux. 2 new leads for our trainers here. I'm curious to see what this Kamalo can go for, because it's immediately getting threatened by that Draining Kiss, Austin.
Right. We did see that Draining Kiss with the Roselli Berry is not going to do all that much damage off rip, but it does put it in range of the next Draining Kiss, which is a highly unfortunate damage calc if you're Paro. So I think we actually see no Mega Evolution from the Raichu, so I think if Paro wants to agree the T-Wave with expected evolution, yep, that's right. We do see the Lightning Rod go into the Raichu. Now this Raichu's at +1 special attack. Yeah, this Raichu we said was a threat, even more now. That bulk up is certainly going to help, but now we have this Scarf Salazzle locked into T-Wave in front of a Lightning Rod Raichu. Really not the turn one you wanted to see as Paro.
No, not at all. We call that one a heart, mind, and soul read from Toasted Art there, choosing not to go for the Mega, which we suggested in game 2. We're like, oh, I'm a little surprised that the Raichu decided to go for the Mega here. Nah, instead, Toasted Art being like, I'm just going to not go for the Mega now. Paro in a really, really bad spot. They now have to either swap out their Salazzle or hope that the Raichu Mega evolves instead, which I think might be a bit greedy. We'll have to see how that plays out, but I think Toasted Art feeling really, really good about how that played out.
Right. I think, this was maybe an opportunity for Paro to just play a little bit more honestly, get that Flamethrower into the... is this Blaze Incineroar?
I think this is Blaze Incineroar. Man, nobody wanted to use their Intimidates here.
Yeah, wow. This is Draco Meteor coming out from the Como into the Raichu. Not going to do anything except break the Substitute and lower your own special attack by 2 stages. So I think, yeah, Toasted Art really just claiming positioning here. And we see another Bulk Up come out. Yeah, I don't think, we haven't seen anything super explosive happen just yet, but I think Toasted Art is really setting themselves up into a position where they're going to be able to just send off boosted Zap Cannon, send off boosted Drain Punches, and there's not really much Paro has right now to slow it down. You can delay one turn by clicking Fake Out into the Raichu, but what does the Como at -2 do back?
Exactly, and it's like, I think we've seen, if we can presume that this Kamalo has Body Press, I think we've seen all 4 moves on it now, and I don't think that Protect is one of those moves. So it feels like a very, very free target for Toasted Art here if they want to go for that. Old Betsy here going to go for that Substitute once again, threatening a ton of damage behind that wall. Body Press from the Kamalo is going to go right into that Substitute. I would imagine that's probably enough damage to just clear it. Yeah, looks like that's enough to clear. Annihilate gonna go for the Drain Punch and that Chopo Berry reveal from Incineroar. So that's a little bit of something. You use that to not get wiped off the face of the earth, even though that did still end up taking about 2/3 of your health. Incineroar gonna go for the Will-O-Wisp here into the Annihilate. So the Annihilate getting its damage output cut in half here. Um, really interesting. There was an option there to potentially knock out the Raichu if they wanted to take it, but I guess in this case, you really have to prevent that Annihilate from getting too out of control, so the burn helps you do that.
Right. I think this was kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation, since now the Raichu is it can Draining Kiss the Komo, get a good chunk of health back even with the Roselli Berry. The Annihilate is actually the Drain Punch into the Incineroar looks to be a roll at this point after the burn. You did 66 to start with that first Drain Punch into the Troupple Berry. Actually, no, but then it's halved and then halved again. So no, the Incineroar definitely dies. What am I talking about? And so we do see the Drain Punch go into the Komo. That is going to put some health back onto the Raichu. That does even more damage now because of the +1 Lightning Rod boost to start. And so I think there's nothing stopping the Annihilate from just sending out another Drain Punch into the Incineroar. Sure, the Raichu takes some damage from the body press from the Komo, but it's not boosted this time. Okay, well, I guess that's
still a lot of damage. Oh my
Did you need
goodness,
that?
the Annihilate is potentially greeting a bulk up here. This is an extremely greedy move. Flare Blitz is going to take down this Raichu. Your Annihilate here is at +3 on attack and defense. You're threatening to absolutely destroy everything in your path. But at what cost? You do not have your Raichu anymore. Your Mega is gone. You do have the option to potentially bring in that Vanillix and set up a Aurora Veil. Presumably, the Vanillix here is going to end up being faster than the Incineroar. But this is potentially a really, really dicey spot and a world. There's a world here, I think, Austin, where Paro can get themselves back into this match.
I don't know, actually. Because I think you can just send Blizzard and Rage Fist into the Como slot, since we know that the Como doesn't have Protect. Blizzard plus Rage Fist. What? Okay. What am I? Okay. Why do I even?
I did not even know that was an option. But we learn something new every day. So Annihilate is going to knock out this Incineroar. I did not even know that beat up was an option on Windows. My goodness, I'm learning new things about this ice cream cone every single day.
Yeah, where's Abigail is not in our league. Hasn't pulled out.
I know.
She's pulled out the
Abigail,
round
start taking notes
strats.
right
Yeah.
now.
Beat up? Do you have anything you want to beat up? Yeah, but now this Scar Salazzle's on the field. Obviously, with the Vacuum Wave onto the Vanillux, it's in range of a Flamethrower from the Salazzle. Definitely at this point. At that point, maybe this Como actually, at half health, if it can somehow live like a boosted Rage Fist from this Annihilate, is maybe in a little bit of a better position. But yeah, I think you were right. Paro did have a way to get back into this game, and well, I don't.
Flamethrower, but into the Annihilate instead. Vanillix gonna go for the Blizzard. That's gonna knock out the Combo, and it's leaving this Salazzle to potentially take a +3 Rage Fist to the face. And I'm not entirely sure that it survives that, given that we just had a couple of stacks of beat up. So we're gonna see the Rage Fist here. I imagine that we're gonna be seeing a very wiped out Salazzle here in a second. And yeah, Salazzle is gonna go down, bringing Paro down to their final Pokemon.
What an interesting turn of events. I think we ended up in the same board state that I thought we would be like a turn ago. We took a very meandering path to get there. As we now see this Frostlass here, I guess the Annihilate is burned, so you do have a full power Hex into it. But I don't know what Frostlass is going to do, into this Vanillux, and then also, having one more unrevealed Pokemon in the back. If it's that, I don't think there's any one Pokemon that Toasted Art could have in the back that would let this Frostlass, carry the 1v3.
I mean, Scovillain, but like, why would you bring Scovillain into this board state?
Oh, I guess it's the Megas.
Any reason for that? We're gonna see the Hex into the Frostlass, Annihilate protecting itself, and that Aurora Veil is gonna go up. You know what? Even with the Aurora Veil up, I still think there's a world because of the burn chip. I still think there's a world where Hex picks up anyways. So there could potentially be an avenue there. I don't know. It's looking a little dicey, especially if it's that Arcanine in the back, like we expect it to be. I don't think Frostlass gets any potential coverage for that. But Austin, you're gonna have to check me on that one.
I definitely. Well, what we've seen so far, have we seen anything? Oh, the Blizzard Hex is probably protected once. Yeah, I don't think there's anything that the Frostlass really has. We do see the Hex come out behind the Aurora Veil. It's still enough for the knockout. Obviously, it's a burnt Annihilate. It's only at half health. Surely there was no question that was going to pick up. We do see a Blizzard come out from the Vanillux. No other offensive moves. That's actually still reasonable damage now that it's single target at this point. So I guess it is a nice 4-hit KO. And we do see the Arcanine revealed as the last Pokemon. Toasted Art definitely has this game wrapped up at this point. Just send off a Flare Blitz in that direction. You are not Intimidate, so presumably Rockhead. You've got Flare Blitz at your disposal. And that'll be it.
Now, I will say Mega Frostlass does get Water Pulse.
Good
So there is a
lord,
world
okay.
where you use Water Pulse there, but no, Arcanine ends up being faster. Flare Blitz is going to go into the Frostlass, and that will take Frostlass down, and Toasted Art is going to be the winner of this set, defeating Paro 2-1 in games.
Yeah, what a very funny set, I think. It's been, I think our league, because we have smaller teams, we've only got 8 Pokemon on each one. It's a little bit harder to piece together some really funny shenanigans with some really funny pieces. So I'm glad that we got to see some very funny things like T-Wave Hex and stuff going on. I'm gonna put some music back on for us. Yeah, and then obviously a lot of funny tech moves come out. We saw the Draining Kiss from the Raichu. We had the Vacuum Wave from the Komodo. Lots of very creative team building choices going on here.
Yeah, the Salazzle set on Paro's side I thought was especially funny, and ended up putting in a lot of work in that game one. Toasted Art, of course, choosing the adjustment to be able to just not Mega the Raichu, and using that Lightning Rod to just make that Salazzle's life miserable, I think really ended up deciding that third game. And I think at that point, once you get the boost on the Raichu, you have to learn to address that, and while you're addressing that, the Annihilate was just stacking up a bunch of bulk ups. So there wasn't really much, I think, that Paro could do at that point. So really nicely played from Toasted Art there.
Yeah, in true HDA fashion, I'd like to invite Toasted Art on for a winner's interview. Hello, once again. It's nice to be back. My name is Austin, not the Austin you're thinking of, and I think I actually referred to myself as the better Austin, but I would like to remind everybody that the other Austin is going to Worlds and I'm not. I'm joined today on the mic by Zach Spitzy Spitzer. Zach, how are you doing today?
I'm doing all right, Austin. And even though other Austin is going to Worlds, I do have to point out that you have 2 Azumarill and 1 Marill on a cam, and he doesn't. So
that is
really,
true.
Who does that make the better Austin?
That's honestly, that's an incredibly valid point. I thank you for your really insightful commentary there. And speaking of commentary, we're about to get commentating this draft league match. I should have learned the name of the draft league between last time and this time. I think it is the Door something draft league. Once again, we've got an exciting match here set up between Pyros and the Vert District Vipers versus Daveron and the Toronto Torteras. Looking at these teams, Zach, what kind of sticks out to you?
So kind of taking a look at the two teams, the first thing I am looking at over on Daveron's side is that there's a lot of physical offense on this team. You see stuff like Dragonite, Mega Caesar, Basculegion, all being able to be supported by that Blaziken who has the option to go for something like a coaching mode. There's also a couple of different things that you can do with the weather too. There's that Lipard on that team that has ways to be able to set up the weather with its Prankster ability. Abomasnow, of course, sets the weather anytime that it comes in. So there's a couple of different factors that I'm looking at here, at least on the physical side. Going over to Pyros' team, the Megas here are particularly fascinating to me. The fact that Mega Pyroar is a 6-point Pokemon to me is kind of nuts. I feel like that is insane value for a Mega, so shout out to Pyros for getting that Mega when they could. I'd be curious to see exactly how they've managed to enable that. I know Mega Aerodactyl has the option to not Mega and just set Sun if it wants to do that, so it could do that to get Mega Pyroar going. But that's a couple of things that stick out to me. What about you, Austin? What sticks out to you?
Yeah, for me, what I like to look at for draft matches is like different speed tiers, for instance. And looking at Pyros' team with the Mega Aerodactyl, of course Mega Pyro is also fast, but Mega Aerodactyl being base 150 speed is the fastest thing that we've got in the game right now. And looking over at the Toronto Torteras, and they do have Basculegion, and we do know that early in Champions, Basculegion went from Scarf Adamant to Scarf Jolly so that they could outspeed the base 130s, but even a Jolly Scarf Basculegion can't outspeed a Jolly max speed Aerodactyl, Mega Aerodactyl specifically. So that might encourage Basculegion, if it comes, to not run the Scarf set, especially because Pyros also has access to the King Gambit, which is another one of Scarf Basculegion's biggest ops. However, that Mega Scizor on the Toronto Torteras is potentially a really strong option into both that King Gambit if you were to run something like Close Combat, and the Mega Aerodactyl, which can't really do much damage to Mega Scizor unless you've got like Fire Fang as a tech move or something like that. So I think playing around the speed order of that Mega Aerodactyl is going to be quite important for the Toronto Torteras. But that Blaziken, if it were to run that speed boost ability, then I think after you might need 2 speed boosts. to outspeed a Mega Aerodactyl. But if you get those speed boosts up, then you suddenly have the speed advantage there. So I'd be excited to see how these two players leverage their speed advantage for this upcoming match.
Torterras as well also have a lot of priority, right? I mean, you're looking at Aqua Jet with the Basket Legion, Extreme Speed with the Dragonite, Bullet Punch with the Mega Caesar.
Yeah.
You could Mega Absol has the opportunity for its own Sucker Punch. Lipard, of course, once again has that Prankster ability. So there are ways for the Torterras, I think, to be able to kind of get around some of that speed work with their own opportunities to set up those priority attacks. But if they don't want to do that, like you said, Austin, Blaziken's got that speed boost, so it can always do something like that. And Torterra, of course, does have access to Shell Smash. I don't know if that's something that we're going to see pop up in this match, but definitely another speed option for the Torterras if they want to get that turtle moving.
Right, definitely. And with that, I think we're about ready. I think our trainers are ready to get into this battle now, this pre-recorded battle. So with that, let's go ahead and switch over to our battle view and take a look at team preview. So on the side of Pyros, we do see that Aerodactyl come out, that Mega Pyroar, 6-point Mega Pyroar has made an appearance along with the King Gambit. I think none of these are particular surprises, supported by the Clefable, which we didn't mention, but is a really good source of follow me redirection right now. On Daveron's side, the Basque Legion, the Torterra, that Mega Scizor has made an appearance as well as the Dragonite. So looking at these, yeah, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so notably, there's no Blaziken. We spent all that time hyping up Blaziken inside of that preview, and there's not even one here to begin with, so that's a bummer. But otherwise, I think generally things that we would all come to expect. I'm curious to see what this Medicham has got cooking up. Of course, it's got the opportunity to do some skill swap stuff, set up its own fake out. So I think Pyros has really got some good tools there. And over on Daveron's side, that Armarouge, I'm very fascinated to see what that Pokemon decides to get itself up to. As we dive into game number 1 here between Pyros and Daveron, Daveron is going to lead with what looks to be the Armarouge and the Lipard. And over on Pyros' side, we have the Clefable and the Medicham lead.
Right. So what I think, depending on the speed, like investments on the Armarouge and the Medicham, we might be looking at something like a fake out Trick Room from the Lipard Armarouge side on Daveron. And the Clefable right now, probably, I mean, it threatens the Lipard with the Moonblast, but if Lipard's Focus Sash, it'll live. If it's not Focus Sash, then you get to bring in one of your Trick Room Sweepers, potentially the Torterra or the Scizor, as the Medicham does flinch, appearing to go for a fake out of its own. As Moonblast does get launched into the Lipard, will we see a Focus Sash? Yes. Focus Sash is revealed on the Lipard. Probably. Yep, there it is. And we'll see what the Armarouge wants to go for now. It does underspeed the Clefable, unless it's going for a Trick Room, which it is.
Yeah, that's I think a really good first turn for Daveron, able to execute exactly what they wanted their game plan to be there. The fake out, of course, really notable here. I do think that there's actually a world where that Medicham wasn't going for fake out just because of how weird the speed interactions were.
That's true.
But we at least get the confirmation that the Lipard was able to go for its own fake out and set up that Trick Room. Looks like Medicham's going to go for a helping hand on this Clefable. I have no idea what this Clefable could possibly be going for. It looks like it's going to be the Encore, so I guess it's going for a Moonblast. I hope that Pyros is cool with that. Moonblast is going to go into the Lipard, knock it out. Probably the most overkill helping hand Moonblast that you can get out of a Clefable there. But notably, the Clefable is not only slower than the Armarouge still has to move here. Psychic's going to go into the Medicham, and Medicham's going to actually take that decently well, and with the Citrus Berry as the reveal there, still has a good chunk of its health left.
Right, I think it might be out of range, something like a Heat Wave, unless you have a way of boosting it up. But we do see Trick Room Terror, the Torterra, hit the field. A big fan of Torterra, is my OG starter back in Platinum, my first game. One thing to note is that the Clefable is locked into Moonblast. Surely it wanted to click something else because there was Helping Hand going into it, but I think Encore locking it into Moonblast and hitting the Lipard is an indication that it was trying to target the Armarouge, or probably lost to 50-50 and then went into the Armarouge slot, or the Lipard. So this Clefable, I think we can tell that it has something up its sleeve, but we don't know what it is quite yet. But this Torterra is sitting on the field. I can see something like a Woodhammer or a Wide Garden Earthquake, but Woodhammer to the Clefable, big damage. That's 2/3 of its health gone immediately.
Yeah, that's a ton of damage down over for Daveron. Another Moonblast for that Clefable. It doesn't really have much choice. That's a ton of damage on that Moonblast. My goodness. Armor Cannon is going to go into the Medicham, and that will knock it out. The defense and special defense falling there, I don't think it overly matters too much at this point. But shocked to see that Torterra take that much damage from a Moonblast. I don't know about you, Austin. I run Mega Clefable on my own draft team. I am always shocked at how much those Moonblasts do.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have too much experience using Clefable in Champions, but I think Moonblast being just probably the best fairy type move in the game. That's well, I mean, you can make your arguments about Geomancy or whatever, but yeah, that's a lot of damage. I guess Torterra, even if you're fully invested in its bulk, just really not happy to take that hit on the special side in particular. Now we have King Gambit threatening a Sucker Punch into this Torterra. So this Torterra not in a super safe position, and actually King Gambit threatening KOs onto both of these Pokemon depending on the item on the Armarouge. We do just see a Protect actually leveraging its offensive pressure to play a little bit defensively. And we'll see that Torterra actually taking the bait, going for the Headlong Rush into the King Gambit. But that leaves Clefable free to move next. That's a Moonblast probably into the Torterra for the knockout.
Yeah, really, really nice defensive play there from Pyros, using that pressure to be able to stagger things out. Armor Cannon and Headlong Rush both going into the King Gambit, but the King Gambit able to block them both. Clefable's Encore is going to end on this turn, and this is a really, really good Trick Room counter for Pyros here. Just sticks that King Gambit on the field and puts Daveron in a really, really tough spot when it comes to being able to get damage down. And now with this Basculegion and Armarouge stuck on the field here, you're looking at two Pokemon that do not want to take a Sucker Punch or a Kowtow Cleave right now. And so if I'm Pyros here, I'm feeling really, really good about my board state. I think a couple of follow me's from Clefable can keep this King Gambit safe and put it in a position to win this game.
Well, all that work about King Gambit being in a really great position, and we actually see it switch into the Aerodactyl on the last turn of Trick Room, hoping to get a little bit of speed advantage once the Trick Room is up, as we do see Aqua Jet go into the Clefable is enough for the knockout. And this leaves Armarouge free to launch an attack into the Aerodactyl. Surely it is just a Fire-type move, as we see Life Orb revealed as the item on the Basculegion, meaning that, depending on the bulk investment on that Basculegion, a simple Kowtow Cleave into that slot was probably enough to take the KO. As the Twisted Dimensions do return to normal. So with that, we are down to a 2-2 Pokemon count. 2-2 Pokemon count on each side. But this King Gambit Sucker Punches are threatening a lot of damage, and I'm sure the Armarouge doesn't like to be in this in front of the Aerodactyl, though I do think this position is actually better for Daveron than on the last turn. I think there's a little bit of a missed opportunity for the King Gambit to just start swinging with Dark-type damage into both of these Pokemon. Especially... Yes. Yeah, depending on the item on the Armarouge, we know that's not Focus Sash, so I think with Mona's defense drop, surely a Kowtow Cleave into there would have been good. But sorry, I'm cutting you off, Spitzy. What's up?
Oh, you're good. I like the switches there makes me think that this Kowtow cleaving King Gambit is a little bit faster than we think. Aqua Jet is just going to knock out the Aerodactyl before he even gets a chance to move there. Is there a chance that this King Gambit is actually faster than we're giving it credit for? Of course, we have the Life Orb deal on the Basculegion. Basculegion taking this Kowtow Cleave and immediately going down. I wonder what... I think I have a guess as to what that item is on the King Gambit. We're going to see the Armor Cannon. No Aqua Berry. Is this Focus Sash? It is. So, Focus Sash on the King Gambit allows it to survive with 1 HP. Putting itself in an oddly good position here up against this Armarouge. Interestingly enough, the King Gambit is faster, but the Armarouge has full HP. Have we gotten any... I don't think we've gotten any Focus Sash confirmation over on Daveros' side. So,
yeah, it's on the Liepard.
Oh, it's on the Liepard. Yes, of course.
Yes.
Okay, so here's the Culver Berry. So this is going to be the defensive tech over for Daveron, but it does not matter. That ends up taking out the Armarouge because of those 2 defense drops from the Armor Cannons earlier. Armarouge is going to go down, and Pyros is going to win this first game. Very close one, a real nail-biter at the end there. But this strangely speedy King Gambit appears to take the day here over Daveron.
Yeah, I think we saw some weird speed interactions between like the Clefable and the Armarouge, so yeah, because it's a Focus Sash King Gambit, a little bit more... Austin, stop! Okay. We saw some, knowing that it's Focus Sash Gambit, this is surely just like Adamant, max attack, max speed, or something like that. And actually, coming in clutch to deal with that Armarouge as well. Knowing that it's Focus Sash, I guess it doesn't really matter which way the Kowtow Cleaves are meant to go. Well, I guess because of Aqua Jet and the Basculegion, you don't want to play Sucker Punch games or anything like that. But then I think I had to revisit then how well I assumed that King Gambit was positioned in the Trick Room, because you usually think of King Gambit as being pretty slow, so you think it's in a good position. But because it's switching out, just like you mentioned, Spitzy, that maybe this Gambit is faster than we expect because of the investment due to the focus sash.
Exactly. Yeah. No. That the focus dash there ends up paying huge dividends, and I think that's a pretty common tech that we will occasionally see. Inside of these draft leagues, you get these Pokemon that are commonly really, really slow, but you have something like that Mega Aerodactyl that can set up the Tailwind, and all of a sudden, this speedy King Gambit will be able to go even faster and potentially sweep stuff just with Kowtow Cleaves. You don't even need this Sucker Punch at that point. So really, really good tech there from Pyros. If I'm Daveron, the one way I got to respond to this, see if I can get some speed myself to try and get around this King Gambit and potentially knock it out with any type of a double up. I think that's probably going to be your best bet to victory. We're going to see the game 2 start here. Armarouge and Basket Legion is going to be the lead for Daveron, and over on Pyros' side, we're going to see that Aerodactyl and King Gambit lead. So this could be that Tailwind angle that we were talking about earlier. Now keep in mind, we did get the confirmation that Armarouge is Culverberry, so it will be able to take a hit from that King Gambit. The question becomes, will it be able to take a hit from Mega Aerodactyl? Mega Aerodactyl, of course, can go for something like Rock Slide. I'm not sure that we got confirmation that Arrow can take an Aqua Jet from this Basket Legion or not. I have to remember if it had any chip, but yeah, really interesting turn 1 taking place here.
Yeah, as the Aerodactyl actually does just get up and out of there. It was chipped before the Aqua Jet before. It was chipped down to 58% or so. So Aqua Jet is doing, it's a 2-hit KO, but definitely not an OKO, just due to the base power of the move, as the Armarouge actually gets up and out of there as well into the Scizor, which we did not see in Game 1, and the Basket Legion decides to protect itself. Probably a wise choice in the face of this King Gambit. As Kowtow Cleave actually goes for the attack into the Armarouge, so if it stayed in with the Culverberry, you probably would have gotten a really big armor cannon off into either of these Pokemon, but of course you're worried about the double up from the super fast Aerodactyl as well. So that's actually just free damage from Pyros' side, and putting this Rotom Cut into a decent position as well. If you have access to Will-O-Wisp, you can Will-O-Wisp either of these physical targets. The Basket Legion just protected your sash on the King Gambit, so you can launch just a Kowtow pretty freely into this Basket Legion now at this point, and I don't think a Bullet Punch plus Wave Crash double up is enough to take the King Gambit. Well, actually, it's no bulk investment if it's Focus Sash. We'll have to see. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to see here. Aqua Jet's going to go into the King Gambit, take out a good chunk of its health. Of course, we already got that Life Orb reveal from the Basket Legion earlier. Rotom is going to go for the Thunderbolt into the Basket Legion, and it doesn't quite pick up the KO. It comes close, but not quite. A huge paralysis there coming down onto the Basket Legion. Kowtow Cleave is just going to hit this Scizor again. Is this going to be enough to knock it out? Not quite. The extra bulk from that Mega Evolution ends up coming in clutch here, and because of that earlier chip from the Aqua Jet, this close combat from Scizor is going to be enough to take this King Gambit down.
Yeah, so I think probably Pyros is aiming to get a double KO there, but P-Bolt just not enough for the Basket Legion. It's got a very high base HP stat, and the Mega Scizor's extra bulk upon Mega Evolution really coming into play, helping it live that Kowtow Cleave, and instead we see the King Gambit, which was pretty crucial in the endgame of Game 1, just removed off the field immediately. Of course, the Basket Legion takes a paralysis, which is not going to bode well for it for future turns. The Mega Scizor actually opt for the Protect on this turn in the face of a Fake Out from this Medicham.
Yeah, that's a really, really good call there. We do get the fake out confirmation officially from this Medicham here. Aqua Jet's going to go into the Medicham again. It's going to just take a little bit more damage down. One more Life Orb tip will take out the Basket Legion. You know what else will take out the Basket Legion, though? Will be another Thunderbolt from that Rotom. Basket Legion finally going down here, leaving Daveron down to just a 3v3 situation here with a Scizor that is heavily damaged, but other Pokemon relatively healthy.
Right. I think this Armarouge surely appreciates sitting in front of this Rotom Cut. And the Scizor, I mean, the Scizor is probably just going to launch a Bullet Punch and then drop. That's probably the only thing it can do for the rest of the game. So we'll have to see if that Bullet Punch is enough for the Medicham. But no, actually, we won't get to see because of the Quick Guard revealed. So that's Bullet Punch. Check. Yeah, not going to go anywhere blocked into the Medicham.
From that Medicham. That is awesome to see. Thunderbolt is going to clear this Scizor, and all of a sudden, that Mega Aerodactyl is looking really, really good in the back. If Pyros wants to take that approach. Armarouge is just going to set up a Trick Room instead. So I'm curious to see what that final Pokemon is in the back. I mean, we saw the Torterra in that Game 1. It looks like we're going to see that Torterra again in this game. Going to try and use the power of Trick Room to will him a victory.
Right. At this point, we haven't gotten an item confirmation on the Rotom, but it can't be Citrus Berry, because that was on the Medicham, actually. So we actually see a Wood Hammer go into the Medicham. No Citrus Berry proc. just taking it straight from 56 down to nothing. And this is Armor Rouge probably just launching an Armor Cannon into this Rotom, which didn't opt to protect itself. We do see the Armor Cannon. Is this an Akaberry reveal? It is.
There's the Akaberry.
Right.
Yeah,
so,
so because of this Akaberry, this Rotom should be able to survive this hit. I know we theorized earlier it could be on King Gambit, but Rotom instead being the one to take that Akaberry and getting a chance to actually swing here. A Will-O-Wisp will be the move of choice. So there's that Will-O-Wisp we were talking about earlier, this time going into the Torterra. So this Torterra is going to have its physical damage output reduced by half for the rest of this game, leaving just this Armor Rouge and this burned Torterra to try and will a victory through Trick Room here. I'd be a little nervous here if I were Davron, but I mean, you do have a speed advantage, but do you have the damage output to be able to will this team through?
Right, I think the Aerodactyl is threatening super effective damage onto both the Armor Rouge and the Torterra. We haven't seen a Wide Guard come out from the Armor Rouge though, and so if it is a Rock Slide from the Aerodactyl, then Wide Guard will do a lot of work in protecting that Armor Rouge, and the Rotom is one hit away from fainting. So we see Woodhammer come out. That burn is surely going to come into play, as it does about 41%, so it would have done 82 without the burn, which would have been really substantial damage to the Aerodactyl. We see the double up with the Psychic. Is this enough for the KO? It's not. That burn coming in really clutch, as we do see the Rotom actually, probably we were assuming it was in danger of fainting without getting off another attack, but no, it gets a Thunderbolt off into the -1 special defense Armor Rouge, and also gets a Paralysis and the Ice Fang tech revealed from the Aerodactyl. Yeah, saving it from the double up from the turn before with the Will-O-Wisp, really helping out. And now, unless there's like a Heat Wave is I guess the only option for the Armor Rouge to come back into this one.
That's exactly what I was about to say. Do we think that this Armor Rouge has Heat Wave because of those Armor Cannon drops? It's almost certain that Armor is going to go down to another hit, the Paralysis also being a little bit annoying. Psychic here is going to finally clear this Rotom, so the question becomes, does Aerodactyl have an accurate move that can take out this Armor Rouge? Rock Slide does in fact connect here. Armor Rouge is going to go down, and I believe that means that Pyros has managed to do it here with the Mega Aerodactyl.
Yeah, so yeah, what a great victory for Pyros, taking a 2-0 victory in the set. Oh, wait, I can leave it. This is like a pretty cool splash screen, right? Yeah. Ta-da! So congrats to Pyros. I think both very close games actually, just based on the Pokemon count at the very end. It's 1-0 victories with very low health Pokemon. It was literally just 1 HP on the Focus Sash King Gambit in game 1 and a 7% on the Mega Aerodactyl here in game 2. So, very cool team building choices. I saw Pyros come out with the Sash Gambit was very crucial in game 1. The tech moves on the Aerodactyl and Ice Fang to deal with the Torterra coming out, that was very cool as well. I think that the Trick Room strategy played out a little bit more in Davron's favor, being able to set it up when the Mega Aerodactyl is still a threat in the back in game 2. I think a pretty well-timed Trick Room, but unfortunately just not enough damage to get there in the very end games with the double up into the Aerodactyl. Had the Aerodactyl fainted there, surely the game goes the other way.
This is a battle that felt like it was really won in the builder for Pyros. Several techs here that really ended up coming in clutch. You think about the Focus Sash on the King Gambit in the end of that game 1, the Ice Fang from Mega Aerodactyl to one-shot that Torterra in game 2, stuff like the Akaberry on the Rotom Mo ended up being really clutch. Quick Guard ended up being a huge tech to get around that Caesar Bullet Punch. Just absolutely loaded with a ton of techs that ended up really coming in the clutch in those 2 games.
Yeah, definitely. I don't have any information about, where these players stand in their overall rankings or anything like that, but I'm just going to assume, that this is a good victory for Pyros. Obviously, probably puts them, well, I think they would prefer to win than lose, so a good outcome for them. I also do want to comment, I think Pyros also has the Drip Roar down pretty easily. I don't know what your opinion is on that,
They're looking kind of drippy. I'll tell you what would make it look even better though, in my opinion, is a Meganium jacket. I don't know if you've seen that Meganium jacket in the membership pass. I don't know. I think that would look kind of slick, kind of clean. But I mean, I gotta say, thank goodness that they did not just go with the default skin. That's always boring. Really good fit on their avatar here.
Yeah, definitely. And so with that, once again, in true HDA fashion, I think we'll invite our winner Pyros on for a winner's interview.